Alright, now with it being a few days since Blue Hill did launch on all servers for Honkai Star Rail, for the most part, I've practically just been using him and no one else. So just like my other videos on characters that release, I wanted to give my first impressions, going over what I like, don't like, all that kind of stuff. Was I hyped for him? Am I satisfied? Is he one of my favorites? All that kind of stuff like I usually do. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. Before I get into the video, drop a like, drop a sub, hit the bell icon for more videos like this. Remember to join the Discord, and let's get straight into the video. So I guess let me sort of talk about how I sort of felt about him originally before he actually ended up releasing. So I was really excited for him. From his design alone, from what we knew about him, I was like, this guy is gonna be sick. And especially because he was a hunt character. Hunt is my favorite path in the game. I love single targets. I love actually planning on who you're attacking and not just unga bunga AoEs. So when I found out we were finally getting another hunt character, I was extremely excited. So I was really hoping he would be good. Then we sort of started learning about his kit. I'm like, okay, he seems really, really promising. Originally, I didn't know how I felt about a pure break DPS where you literally only could do damage by breaking them. Because the whole concept of breaking is cool to me. But to have a DPS that sort of just relies on only breaking them, I didn't really stick with it at first, I should say. But then we sort of found out that, oh, he can implant physical weakness with his ult. Then I'm like, okay, pocket trick shot seems a little bit annoying to get. But then we found out it was pretty easy. And so a lot of things where I thought, okay, maybe something is going to make me not like using them. Eventually we just found out that whatever I was like worried about practically just didn't make it an issue. I was worried about what if they're not weak to his typing, he can implant it. I was worried about building up pocket trick shots. It turns out it's a lot easier than I thought. With all the break you give him and all the stuff, he can easily shut through bars, so that was a nice little fix. So a little bit prior to the release, I was really excited. I'm like, okay, I'm finally getting another hunt character. He's really cool. In the story, he's fire. Even though he didn't really do much, he just seems like a really funny guy. And so I was really hyped. Again, I still was sort of like whatever about him being a pure break DPS, because obviously if they're not broken, he's not going to do damage, because that's where his whole kit revolves around. But overall, looking past that, I was just I was a pretty big fan of his kit anyways. The fact you can lock enemies into duels was really, really cool to me. So the whole idea of standoff and enhancing your basic attack, that whole thing was so cool to me. And seeing, yeah, what pocket trick shot does, giving you a bunch of toughness reduction, giving you the ability to do more damage per pocket trick shot, everything was sort of playing together. I'm like, okay, he seems really strong. Then obviously watching through gameplay, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's a really good DPS. But then the question still stands, would I like using him? I didn't know until I actually got him. So then he releases, I lose my 50-50 to Yanqing, shout out Yanqing. If I see you again, I might actually jump out my window. And so when I finally got to use him, I first started using him with Bronya. I had a team of him, Ruanmei, Bronya, and Fu Xuan. And I'm like, okay, he seems really strong. I personally did not like using him with Bronya. I felt like the skill point usage was kind of eh. Even though I do have an E1 Bronya, I apparently suddenly now always lose my 50-50s. So I kept losing that, and I often ran out of skill points. So I'm like, okay, I have an E2 Sparkle, so I'm going to sub out the Bronya for a Sparkle. Because as we do know, Sparkle is a character that works better with crit characters that actually want to crit. With Blue Hill, critting is nice, but critting isn't really a crazy thing for him. All his damage is mainly from break, and the crits are like a 3%-ish difference anyways. So that's why I was sort of iffy about using Sparkle, but she just solving the skill point issue entirely was really nice. And since minus E2, she also gives defense ignore, which is really, really good because Blue Hill, past break, the next best thing you can do is defense ignore, because defense ignore with him is insanely good. There's getting a bunch of break damage, and then there's also ignoring defense. Because past that, attack really does not matter on him at all. Crit doesn't really matter with him at all. So the next best thing was defense ignore, which is proved to be really, really good. So again, after using him with Bronya, I was like, okay, he's fun, but I honestly don't think I like using him as much as I thought I would. Bronya got skill points like this, all that. His damage is really solid, but not that crazy. And then I used him with Sparkle, where I can continuously deal out better damage. Sadly, not get as many turns because Sparkle does give him 50% action forward as opposed to Bronya's complete turn given. But even then, the consistent damage, easy breaks, the 50% action forward practically being all he needs. Now no longer struggling with skill points, so I can actually break more, keep up skill times on other characters more, all that stuff. So the little issues I had with the team, once they were fixed, suddenly Blue Hill became probably one of my favorite DPSs to use. Just consistently doing damage, consistently breaking, seeing the damage, seeing the extra hit he does when you do have pocket trick shots. It's just so satisfying. So now I'm not against break DPSs anymore. Again, originally I didn't like think about break effect characters being something I would like too much, but it's way more satisfying than I thought. So I'm no longer on the trend where I don't think I'd like break DPSs, because with Blue Hill, really like them. Sadly, I don't have a crazy built Harmony Trailblazer or a built Harmony Trailblazer at all. I just kind of had the relics, but the traces are not up, and they're also at E2. But I have gotten to use Blue Hill with the Harmony Trailblazer. Obviously not in like MLC. I had to watch gameplay on that because again, mine's not built completely. But I did get to use a friends on some other stages. and seeing the damage skyrocket is so fun. I really like how he does have an opportunity to be used with the Harmony Trailblazer, who's free to just do a lot more damage and making him such a potent, if not one of the best boss killers in the game. Or you can give him someone like Sparkle or Bronya, where you can have more output but less damage. But obviously more output means you can add up to more damage, because more hits, more turns, more damage adds up rather than just one big hit. So with Buhil, he's on this flexible side where you can run him with one of those two and have a better output team, which is really, really good. Or you can pair him with Harmony Trailblazer, where now he's just an absolute boss killer, probably able to one-tap, not probably, is able to one-tap bosses, and you just see such high satisfying numbers. So the flexibility with him is also really nice, and I do also really like that despite his signature Lycon being his best one by far, I am really glad there is a 3-star option you can use on him, albeit it doesn't really help him with break or damage itself or anything, but it does give you speed and all that stuff, so it's like a really nice option to have for people that are not going for the signature Lycon. I'm sure there'll be a free-to-play one eventually, but besides the point. I'm glad he's also just being able to be given some flexible options for everyone. But yeah, overall for me, I've used him with and without his Lycon. He's just been really, really fun. I personally don't really like using him with Bronya too much because, again, the skill point issue. But I'm not denying with Bronya, he's still really good. Like, he's still really, really, really good with Bronya. Just me personally, I prefer using him with Sparkle just for the skill points. Eventually, I am now building up my Harmony Trailblazer, getting the traces up because, again, I just finished the relics. So now I can actually get the traces up and make him a boss killer. And so on the all-around team, been having a lot of fun. With the bit I got to try with the Harmony Trailblazer with them, just seeing the big numbers is so, so funny. And it's just really, really satisfying. Just all the break, just watching Bosch's HP get absolutely shredded is just so satisfying. He feels really nice to use, and I really like how you do actually have to think. It's not a character where you just, oh, let's aim at the boss, hit AoE, unga bunga, one shot, woo. He's sort of this character where you do just sort of gotta think on how are you gonna optimally build up the pocket trick shot stack so you can get the damage going as fast as possible and as most efficiently as possible. I have been deprived of hunt single target characters because all there really was for me was Zele, and then that bit of fun I had with Yanshug. And now Buhil coming out and being this single target character that's really, really fun, that you actually gotta plan a bit with. It's just been a really nice refresher because besides fall-offs being mainly single target, besides Adventurance, it's mainly just been AoEs, 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 AoEs. So I was really, really happy to finally get a single target character. So where would I put him in like my list about fun or compared to other DPSs? Is he one of my favorite DPSs to use? He is easily one of my favorite DPSs to use, and he is also one of the most fun characters I have used in this game. Using a single target is so refreshing, especially as someone who played when the original Zele banner was out. Just having a single target again be viable, that's also really, really, really strong, is just such a nice refresher. Obviously excluding the follow-up attack teams, that's sort of different because they get multiple turns anyways. But yeah, just getting a pure single target character that you actually gotta think a bit, it's just been so nice. I've been having a lot of fun with it. And that's why I cannot wait for the new mode because it's mainly focusing on hunt characters and single target break, all that kind of stuff. It's gonna be really, really fun. I can't wait for it. Yeah, Buhil is definitely one of my new favorite DPSs to use. I'm really glad I can once again have a lot of fun on this game. The only team I really had fun on the game with right now at least is just the follow-up attack team. I was kind of bored of using every other unit. That'll change when Jade comes out, but for now all I have is the Buhil team and I'm honestly fine with it. That's it. That is sort of my first impressions. As you can tell, very, very satisfied. I practically do have no complaints about Buhil. I think his entire kit, the way it plays together, everything is just perfect for me at least. I have no complaints. He is extremely fun. Very, 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 very glad we finally got to get another hunt character that is just single target, fun to use, and also viable. Obviously not viable in something like Pure Fiction where it's AoE City, but outside of that, very, very glad that he's a very fun unit. But yeah, let me know if you guys summon for Buhil. Are you guys going to summon for Buhil? Are you on edge? Because we are having a stacked update coming up next, especially with the reruns we have, because the reruns we have left are all characters that people do kind of want. Well, at least 3 of them. Being Huohuo, Argenti kind of, and then Ruan Mei especially. Dr. Ratio was free, so I doubt people are going to go for a dupe. And then especially with Firefly coming out, a lot of people are probably going to save all their currency for that. Dupes, Lycon, all that kind of stuff. Jade, sadly, didn't get anything crazy. Her at E0 is very sorry, but at E1, she's insane. So yeah, again, let me know if you guys are going to be summoning for Buhil. And if you have, let me know how much you're enjoying him, what teams you're using, all that kind of stuff. And yep, peace out.